I scrolled back to the very beginning of my channel, which for the record is over 400 full-length videos, which is crazy to think that I've done that many over the last 5 years. So the very first video I posted, that wasn't me like doing a speed build with almost no talking, because when I started the channel, I was super terrified to talk on camera, was a video I posted where I answered 20 questions. And so I went back and I watched this video and I was like, wouldn't it be fun if I did an update on if any of these answers have changed in the last 5 years. So I'm gonna let Stacy from the past answer the question first, and then I will do an update on it. Couple of things to keep in mind. I was in my 20s when I did the first one. I'm in my 30s now. I look different. People age. Please be nice to both of us. Second thing, the quality is not super great because I was using, I think, an iPhone 7 to record, and I don't even think I had the quality up as high as I could get it. So I think it's like 720 or it's not high def, so I'm really sorry about that. But I love seeing growth, I love seeing change, and watching it was super nostalgic. I brought back the original background I used in my early videos. I don't use them anymore because usually if I'm reviewing a set, I want you to be able to see the things I'm holding up more easily, and also the ring light makes it more difficult to get it where that's not visible, since these are reflective. I think that's about it. I haven't decided. I may split this video into 2 parts if it gets too long, so we'll just see how it goes. So with that, we'll do question 1. The first question comes from Lego Bricks Dad. What is the first set I remember getting as a kid, and what is my favorite childhood set? Okay, so the first set I remember getting as a kid was set 6422, telephone repair set from 1998. Loved that set. It came with all these little unique tools that were in a lot of the sets at the time, but that was the first one I remember getting. My favorite childhood set, I think, was 6098 King Leo's Castle. That one was from 2000. It was my first castle too. I just remembered loving playing with that set. So obviously my first set can't have changed, but at the time, I don't think I knew how to put pictures on the screen, so I'll put a picture of telephone repair so you can see what that is. So that was my first set from memory. And then my favorite set was King Leo's Castle, so I will also put a picture of that so you can see both of them. Most of these questions, though, will have an update, I promise. That one just happened to be the first one, and you can't really change those answers. Question 2 comes from Tay_Bricks. Do you collect Galidor? I was actually not even familiar with what Galidor was. That would have been around the time that I was really into Lego, at least in my childhood, around 2002. But I really don't remember ever seeing it, and I've done so many bulk purchases before and never come across any Galidor sets or pieces, so currently I do not own any. I would definitely not be opposed to adding it to my collection, but at this point anyways, I don't have any. I still don't own any Galidor. I have on several occasions added it to a cart to purchase and then just decided to not spend the money on it at this point in my life. So hopefully someday though, I will eventually get a Galidor set because it is on my bucket list to get one. All right, question 3 comes from Ryan Metal Arts. How old were you when you started collecting? What types of sets or characteristics of sets make you say, I must have this? So I think I started collecting when I was around 5 or 6, so late 90s. Really the only rule I have, it's not a hard and fast rule, but I really collect anything that came out before 2005 because it just brings a lot of nostalgia, because that's when I was originally collecting. Any of the like old adventurer sets or vintage castle, forest men sets, if it has 4 digits or less, then I need to have it basically. You just get that feeling, you know, where you're like, I need this set, but I don't have a specific thing within the set that I'm like, this is the reason I need it. I'd say what I collect has changed a little bit. I would say I include now more up to 2013 instead of like 2005. Still wanting those 4-digit sets though. Whatever that entails, I still don't have anything in particular. I just really love anything that's 4 digits, even 3 digits. I might want to add some more 3-digit sets to my collection. I really have maybe, it's less than 10 for sure, like maybe 5 or 6. And then anything new that resembles or is a remake of an old set. So, they remade the Galaxy Explorer, the Renegade, those kind of things. The ideas sets that almost like Ultimate Collector's versions of original vintage Lego sets. I'm still super selective on anything current, generally gravitating towards Lego original themes and less of the licensed stuff. Although, it's always nice to get one of everything. Question 4 comes from Simon.Martin1414. And they want to know if there's a movie or TV series I'd like to see a full Lego theme for, and if I'm going to sing Everything is Awesome in my next podcast. So first, there are a lot of different movies and TV shows that I think would make great sets. First being The Lion King, probably because I'm a child of the 90s, but I think there's so much you could do with a Lion King theme. I think that would either make a great single set or a theme by itself, because Pride Rock would be a really cool set to make. They did that kind of like nature theme not too long ago, and they created all these different animals for it. I think it falls under the city sets, but it's definitely not city. So they could definitely use a lot of those pieces again for this. I also was a big fan of the TV show Lost back in the day, and I don't know series-wise, like a full theme, doing that show, if that would make a great set on its own or a full theme. They've been doing a lot of these single sets with like Friends. I got the Friends set when it came out because I am a huge fan of the Friends show. I know they did the Big Bang Theory. I think they did Golden Girls. So I would love to see one for The Office eventually. I know a lot of people are begging for that one, so I definitely think they should do that one too. The secondary question of singing Everything is Awesome. No, I won't be singing anything ever because I can't sing at all. So I ended up doing a full video on this topic, and so I will link that somewhere above me on if there were movies or TV shows I'd like to be made into themes or just individual sets. I think I mentioned Lost in the original video, which is funny. I am still talking about that show. I talked about it in one of my last videos too. So even 5 years later, still talking about that show. So again, if you'd like to see all the movies and TV shows I'd like to be made into Lego sets, then click the little pop-up. All right, question 5 comes from actually a lot of different users have requested this question, and it's probably one of the hardest ones to answer. So what is my favorite theme? That is really tough because I like so many different themes. Harry Potter is probably my top favorite, and that's just because I grew up with those books. So and the movies, every year they put out a new movie during my childhood, or every other year, and a whole new wave of sets would come out, and so they just really mean a lot to me. So I would say that's probably my top favorite, but I have a lot of secondary favorites. So like Adventurers would be a close second, because the desert sets, the jungle sets, the Orient Expedition sets, those are all amazing. There is not a bad set in that whole theme, and they're really iconic for my childhood as well. I love anything castle related, and that includes the Harry Potter castles. And I know no one likes Belleville, but I am obsessed with Belleville because, again, it just meant a lot to my childhood. So if you didn't grow up with it, I could see where you wouldn't be a fan of those sets, but I loved them. So those are my honorable mentions. I loved that I said that Harry Potter was my favorite theme in the original video. That is so untrue now. I still love the original sets from 2001 to 2011, but in the last 5 years, I have completely turned on the Lego sets. They still make some nice ones, but it's just been worn into the ground like every other licensed theme, it feels like, where they've just pumped so many sets out. I don't get excited for them anymore. Actually, my mom was just asking me if I was gonna want any of them for Christmas, and I honestly don't even know what's out there because I haven't looked to see any of the new sets that have either come out this year or are coming out this year. And that's pretty sad in my opinion, because it used to be such a big deal to me. All the themes I listed though in the original video still stand. Adventurers, I usually say is my all-time favorite theme, so Adventurers, but I love all the classics. Anything I've put in my Lego world, Pirates, Castle, Classic Town, Aqua Zone, and then again, special mention for Belleville. Still love Belleville. Let's see. Also, a lot of people asked how many Lego sets I own, and I don't ever fully answer this question because I want you all to keep watching. I want you all to keep following me on Instagram. So I never give a definitive answer. I do know how many I have. I have a running list, and I'm just gonna say it's in the hundreds because that's pretty generic. That could be anything, but keep following along and you will eventually be able to see how many I have. Even 5 years later, I'm still not answering how many Lego sets do I own. I think I said in the hundreds, which I tried to pick a thing that would sound like as generic as possible, so we'll still go with that. But you know, obviously, you know, I have at least 365 because I'm doing the full year. We'll stick with that. I guess maybe on the last day when I'm like, I am done with social media, I'm not gonna continue this anymore, then I'll try and come back to this video where I've said this. I'll let you all know when the whole thing is done, when I'm finally not doing this, at least for a living, anymore. Question 7 is from Lego Man 5000. Any tips on finding good deals on old sets? I am a big fan of using the search alerts. So on eBay, you know, you type in a set number that you're looking for, and then I get emails every day or whenever they have new alerts for those sets. I've gotten a lot of good deals by doing that. I don't want to give away all my tips because I want to still be able to get a few sets. So I would definitely look in the app store and see about looking up different selling apps, selling and buying, because it's not just BrickLink and eBay anymore, and the Facebook Marketplace is good because it's local and you have a lot less competition. You're not competing with the whole country and in some cases the whole world. So definitely check your own area for local Facebook listings. As far as finding old sets, I think I said that I was using like eBay alerts, which is really funny because I probably haven't done that since then. Like, I totally forgot that was even a thing. But I'm generally not looking for individual vintage sets, so primarily I get them through bulk lots. That's become super light in recent years. I do also part together a lot of stuff, so I really love tiny Lego sets that are 1 or 2 minifigures and less than 100 parts, so a lot of times vintage stuff like that is really cheap to part together. I would say if I'm not getting it from a bulk lot, I'm just parting it together via BrickLink. All right, question 8 comes from Brooks.Bricks. Do you prefer to build sets or do you also build mocks? I do prefer sets just because of time. I don't have a lot of time. I work a part-time job and then I have BrickLink on top of that and making YouTube videos. I don't have a lot of spare time, but I do like to make Christmas ornaments. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know that I'm constantly making new Christmas ornaments. They went over really well last year. That was the first year I had ever done it. And I decided at the end of last year that I would start kind of documenting my progress on Instagram. And that's when that really took off. My Instagram page really took off. So since then, I've been making them all year, and I haven't stopped making them just because it isn't Christmas time anymore. So I have tons more themes now. I've been doing a lot of the like 80s and 90s themed Christmas ornaments like M-Tron and Space Police, and so I enjoy making those because they're small and they don't take a ton of time, and once I have a design down, I can make them in bulk then. So the original design usually takes several hours, but then I can kind of mass produce them from there, and I do really enjoy making those. So as far as do I prefer sets or mocks, still definitely prefer sets. In the last 5 years, I have started creating mocks, so that was something I never really anticipated doing, and the 2 mocks I've done, I've had so much fun with. It's somehow more expensive than just buying regular Lego sets, so it's definitely going to be a maximum 1 per year of me doing that. But I do love it. I never thought I would be saying that, but I have had a lot of fun doing it. We'll see what 2026 brings, but I think vintage sets will always have my heart. Question 9 comes from, I'm going to butcher this, sorry, Nick13 Jeramek. Sorry about that. All right, which is the Lego theme of which you own the largest number of sets? Okay, so the most boring answer I have is city. It's been the longest running theme from my childhood on, so I have so many city themed sets. Secondary would probably be Harry Potter, because I own all but one of the numbered sets. So like I don't own some of the promotional sets, that the giveaway sets, but I own all of the numbered sets that are in the Harry Potter theme, except for the motorized Hogwarts Express, which is on my bucket list to own if I can find it at a slightly reasonable deal. Also Belleville, I own, I don't even know, probably 50 different Belleville sets, so a ton of those. If you count Castle as like a generic theme, I own a ton of Castle sets as well, so those would probably be my top 3 besides just generic city sets. I don't think much has changed as far as the largest number of sets in a theme that I own. It's still Harry Potter, it's still city or classic town, although I mentioned not having the motorized Hogwarts Express yet in that video, and I do finally own that one. I also mentioned having like 50 Belleville sets or something like that, and also completed that collection, so that's pretty exciting since 5 years ago. I think at the time I didn't really fully separate sub-series versus theme, so I was thinking like Castle, but then I was thinking of factions as like their own themes instead of thinking of Castle as like this umbrella theme. So I would also like to mention that space. I own a substantial amount of space sets, and since that is, you know, its own theme, umbrella term, I own a significant number of space sets as well. And question 10 comes from Drakes_game room. What's the coolest set, piece, minifig you have found at a yard sale or big lot purchase? So the coolest set I found in a big lot purchase was the Guarded Inn. I bought this lot on eBay that I was pretty sure I wasn't gonna get my money back out of, but it had some Forestman people in it and some castle stuff, and I found that little flag with like the wine glass and the grapes on it mixed in, which is only in the Guarded Inn set. So when I found that, I was like, it might be in here, and I'd say 99% of it was in there. I think I had to get a couple of small generic pieces to complete it, and that set now goes for, I don't know, like $150 or more. So that was probably the best deal like I found that I didn't know I was going to be getting, at least one of them, for something that I was planning on reselling for my business. That was probably the coolest find I've had so far. The coolest sets I've found in bulk lots, oh my gosh, if I could tell myself from 2020 the absolute insane number of sets I would be getting from bulk lots, she would be shocked. The fact that the Guarded Inn was like a peak one, which still a peak set and a very exciting find at the time, but as far as like, I guess, the value of sets that I would find in bulk lots, I made a list of a handful of them. I'm just going to read them off quickly. I'm not going to put pictures because that's going to take forever to individually put pictures, but I have done individual videos for every single set I'm about to mention. If you just go to my page and type in the name of the set, if you want to see it or, you know, see a full review of it, feel free. I just don't want to have to like individually put pictures for each of these. So the original Galaxy Explorer, Camouflaged Outpost, Caribbean Clipper, Knight's Castle, Eldorado Fortress, Big Rig Truck Stop, Cargo Center, Public Works Center, Skull Island, and Bandit's Secret Hideout. The top ones I could think of off the top of my head, all of those were bulk lot finds. Like I've said many times, the majority of my vintage collection, especially the large sets, all bulk lot finds. And then I don't think I had like an individual piece, unless I was talking about the little flag from the Guarded Inn. The most rare, valuable piece I've ever found is Luke Skywalker's legs from Cloud City, which I did end up selling. I should have kept them and parted the rest of him together since his legs are the most valuable part, but I did sell those probably not too long after the original video was made for $250, which probably nowadays I could have gotten a lot more for them, but at the time I was ecstatic. And question 11 comes from Deckard79. What is your favorite set of all time? And he had a few other questions, but I've already answered those previously. So, I mean, that's another really tough one. Lego has made so many great sets. So to pick just one is really hard. So I'm going to give you my top 5, and these are not in any particular order. So the Yellow Castle set 375, 60, 75 is definitely one of my top 5 favorites. The Pharaoh's Forbidden Ruins, 5988. I just got that set recently and it was even more amazing than I was expecting, so that one's definitely made it into my top 5 now. Black Knight's Castle, 6086. I don't own that one yet, but I love that castle. I'm going to own it one day. And the Airport Shuttle, 6399. I would take any of the monorail sets. I've never had a monorail. I would love a monorail, but they're so crazy expensive. But I really like, you know, the classic town theme, so the Airport Shuttle is kind of iconic of that era. And then finally, the Diagon Alley set, 10217. That set is just, they did such a great job, and I just saw where they're going to be doing like a mega set for Diagon Alley, and I can't wait to see it. It sounds like it's gonna be amazing. My favorite Lego set of all time. You all really like to ask my favorite this, and I just don't look at Lego in those terms. I do finally have a monorail. When I answered that question, a monorail was on the list of favorites, and I didn't own one then, and I do now, so that's super exciting. The Futuron monorail. But I still think I would say the Airport Shuttle would be my favorite set of all time if I could only pick one. All right, question 12 comes from Vintage Classic Lego. What theme would you bring back if you were the owner of Lego? And that is tough because Lego has so many great themes that they've had over the years. So I'm just gonna name a bunch of them because I really do love all of these. Adventurers, Pirates, I don't know why it's been so long without a Pirates theme. Castle, again, been forever since we've had Castle. Classic Space, Paradisa, those were hugely underrated sets. The Paradisa sets are awesome. Belleville, I'm sorry, I love Belleville. I definitely want to bring it back. Ninja, I'm not a huge fan of Ninjago. I want more of the classic Ninja. Those sets were really cool. Classic Town, again, I'm sorry, I know you wanted one that I could bring back, but I just love all of those themes so much. As far as my favorite theme that I would pick to bring back, I kind of stand with what I originally said 5 years ago, that there's a bunch. But if I could only pick one, I think I'd go Adventurers. You know, they did a little bit under the city category, but I would want it to be its own category. It has to use vintage colors. All right, question 13 comes from JJ Gog 40. What is the largest Star Wars set you've ever built? Now, this is actually a really crazy story. I don't know if you've been following me for this long that you would know this. In 2011, taking it back a little ways, I entered a mock competition through Lego. So you had to design a Christmas themed set. And I did this gingerbread house and I submitted it, and it actually got top 50 for the United States for the adult category. And so we were supposed to win the Winter Village Post Office, which was set 10222. But whoever was in charge of sending out the sets made a typo, and they sent everyone 10221, which is the Super Star Destroyer. They gave us the option that we could keep the Super Star Destroyer or exchange it, and they would send us the Winter Village Post Office. So clearly I kept the $400 set Super Star Destroyer, and I built that. I kept it in the box for a really long time because I didn't want to open it. And then I think maybe 6 or 7 years ago, or less, 5 or 6 years ago, I did finally open it and build it, and that was amazing. Someone had asked me recently too if I was ever gonna do like one of those large sets, you know, what's the largest I would do on video, and I'm like, I just don't know how interesting 3,000 gray pieces would be to watch. So maybe eventually if I get the feedback that you all wanted, I would do that, but I just don't know that anyone has the attention span for 3,000 dark gray and light gray pieces. But that is the largest set, Star Wars set I've ever built, and it was such a cool thing to accidentally win. No change as far as the largest Star Wars set I've ever built. It's still the Super Star Destroyer. I don't think I own any sets for Star Wars that are larger than that, so I don't think that'll change ever unless I'm gifted a set, because there's almost no likelihood of me purchasing a Star Wars set that's larger than the Super Star Destroyer. But I did do a speed build of that. I'm like 99% sure. I didn't double check before recording, but I'm pretty sure I did a speed build. Eventually, I was asked if I would ever do a speed build of it, and turns out I will. But I don't think I'll ever do that again because that was a nightmare to record. So, question 14 comes from black.falcon.knights. Have you ever had, entered Dark Ages, or were you into Lego uninterrupted. What sets, themes did you miss? So I actually have been getting Lego since I was 5 or 6. I can't remember really a birthday or a Christmas that didn't involve some amount of Lego, and definitely for Christmas a large amount of Lego. So I really have been collecting nonstop since I was 5 or 6. You know, maybe during the college years I didn't collect as much, but that was mostly because I didn't have the money to collect. So I still got stuff for Christmases and birthdays. Outside of that, I wasn't really able to afford a whole lot. I did get the Harry Potter sets when they all came out during that time, because they went away for a while, but the last round of them came out while I was in college, and so I did get all of those, but I wasn't getting a whole lot. I would buy little tiny sets here and there. Back when they actually had little tiny sets you could buy that were reasonably priced. Still no Lego Dark Age. So after 5 years, I'm still here, and I didn't have a Dark Age before that. I don't even know what year I'm on. I think I qualified 1998 as the first year, so 27 years of straight Lego buying. So when people ask me how I afford my Lego collection, that's how. You space it out over 27 years, and you also let all your friends and family know that that's the only thing you want as gifts or gift cards that are to the Lego store, Amazon, whatever. It makes it much more affordable. And question 15 from Mr. Stoneface. Do you buy all the current Lego releases? No, I am really selective on what I'm buying from Lego currently. I do buy all of the Harry Potter sets. I know that's repetitive. I do buy all of the Harry Potter sets that come out. I'm not super impressed by what's out there right now. I really liked the Hidden Side sets. That's the first theme I think Lego's done that I've actually been impressed with in a long time, and I've heard now that they're probably discontinuing those, so that's kind of a bummer. But I do not buy a ton of current sets. When I get money, I like to go on eBay, BrickLink, whatever buying and selling apps I can find, and buy vintage stuff, because that stuff is what brings me nostalgia. It brings that childhood joy back. So I definitely don't buy a ton of the new stuff. I'm sure in 10 to 15 years, when they've changed Lego again, I'm going to go back and go, why didn't I buy that? Because it's awesome. But right now, I really want stuff from the 90s and the 80s up through about 2004. I still don't buy all the new Lego releases. I actually tried to think over this past year of 2025, and the amount of new sets I've purchased or gotten this year has been so low. Honestly, probably the lowest it's ever been. Now, I have been really focused on my Lego world, so I've been trying to get as many vintage sets to help fill that out as possible, but I also just haven't been. I'm still not impressed with what's on the market, and I'm still mad about Hidden Side. 2020 Stacy was correct, and that was a huge loss that they canceled Hidden Side. All right, question 16 comes from Dr. McBrick. I highly recommend you check out his YouTube channel. He's awesome. He asked, where do I get the cool music that I play on my YouTube videos? And actually, those songs are from license-free music they offer in the YouTube studio. So both of the songs I've been using for most of my videos are made by the same person, but I found them within the YouTube studio's free music. So definitely check that out. It takes a lot of searching because a lot of that stuff, since it's license-free, it's pretty generic. It's not that great, but I'm really a fan of those two songs, so I've been using them a lot. Dr. McBrick, he's still around. I'm still friends with him on Instagram, I think. I'm still using at least one of the two songs that I originally used in that video, which I think is pretty funny. So nothing's really changed there. Okay, question 17 comes from a user that I don't know how to pronounce their handle, so I'm not gonna attempt it, but you'll know who you are. What is your Lego Castles top 5? So these aren't in any particular order. These are just the top 5 that I like. The Royal Knights Castle 6090. I have that one. I love it. Yellow Castle 375 675. I have that one as well. The Black Knights Castle 6086. I don't have that one yet. The Knights Castle 6080. I don't have that one either. And King Leo's Castle 6098. That was the first castle I ever got, and like I said at the beginning of the video, it's iconic of my childhood, so I love that one. I know not everyone does, because it's starting to go kind of towards the newer age castle stuff, but that one I love because it means a lot to my childhood. I didn't think there needed to really be any change on my top 5 castle list. I still pretty much stand by that. I think I did misspeak in that video though. I think I said 6080 was the Knight's Castle, which it's the King's Castle, I'm pretty sure, which I do now own that set. I still need to get 6086 though. That one, 5 years later, still on my bucket list. And you know why? Because I haven't found it in a bulk lot and I'm not willing to pay what it costs to purchase it. So being frugal has not changed in the last 5 years. Question 18 comes from C. O'Connor. Will you be doing any live streams in the future? I did one like a couple weeks after I started my YouTube channel with the hauling and balling crew, and they were awesome, and I'm really thankful that they let me come on the show with almost no YouTube knowledge. I had a great time. You should definitely check them out. They've been on YouTube, I think, for 5 years now, so they're really good at what they do, and they have phenomenal content, so definitely check them out. But at present, I have no plans to do any other live streams. Maybe in the future. I mean, I'm open to it if it comes along, but I have no plans right now to do any other live streams. I get asked a lot about live streams, and I had already planned on basically saying this. I think someone had asked me in one of my recent videos where I just have you all ask me questions if I would ever do a live stream, and I will do a live stream if I hit 100,000 subscribers. Since I'm only a third of the way there, it feels like a very safe bet that that won't happen anytime soon and I won't have to figure out how to do it. So if I hit 100,000 subscribers and I get the YouTube plaque, I will do a live stream then. Also, Sai, I'm really sorry. I think I called you C. O'Connor when you asked this question. Didn't know you yet, but now I know you. I think we're also mutuals on Instagram, so apologize for mispronouncing your name at the time. All right, question 19 comes from Brixish, Brixish. If you could go back in time and bring back one Lego set, what would it be and why? I mentioned this one before. $63.99, the airport shuttle, the monorail. I've always wanted a monorail. They did them for such a short time. I think all of them came out before I was even born. So I would definitely bring back at least one of the monorail sets. I'm not 100% that it has to be this particular one, but definitely a monorail set would be what I would bring back. Because they were just so different than anything Lego's ever done before. They were monstrous. I miss the size that Lego used to do. Back in the day, they could take a 400-piece set and it would be 2 feet long. I don't know how they were able to get away with that. As far as bringing a Lego set from back in time to current, I think it would still be the airport shuttle, but maybe I would just do Cloud City and then I would sell it and buy the airport shuttle plus about $8,000 worth of other sets. So we'll go with that. Okay, and question 20, what is your favorite pirate set? And I think that's probably a tie between the Imperial Trading Post 6277 and the Enchanted Island 6278, which does technically fall under pirates, even though I think most people classify it as Islander. So don't have a ton of pirate sets, and I don't actually own any pirate ships. I would eventually like to get one, so it's hard to judge on those since I've never actually had one. But if anyone wants to give me one, I would be down. And then I think as far as my favorite pirate sets, those also still apply. I don't know if I owned either of the two I mentioned at the time, but I own both of those now. And I also said I really didn't have many pirate sets, and now I have so many pirate sets. I mean, if you look at my Lego world, it is just full of pirate sets. So at the time, I really didn't have many, but in the last 5 years, I have parted together and found so many. I didn't own a pirate ship yet. I found the Caribbean Clipper in a bulk lot, and then shout out to Lee for Redbeard Runner. So now I have 2 pirate ships. So it's just cool that in those 5 years, that dream came true. So I hope you enjoyed this little nostalgic trip back in time to when my channel started and who I was then and how far things have come in the last 5 years. I might look through some of my videos from 3, 4, 5 years ago and see if there's any other ones that I could update. So if you liked this, you know, definitely let me know in the comments. Sometimes I make content for myself because I just enjoy it and I thought this was pretty fun to see the change. So, but with all that being said, I'll go ahead and let 2020 me wrap this up. And if you liked this video, subscribe, share it. So have a great week and I'll see you next time.